Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video, and today we're going to do a character guide on Lunafreya. Very, very hype character. So in this video, we're going to do a character guide so you all understand why she's so hype, why she's so good, how to use her, and all that fun stuff. And you can decide for yourself if you haven't already summoned, maybe if you want to summon her, if you want to go deeper, if you want to max out the kit, or maybe you see her and you're like, oh, she's trash, I don't want her. You definitely don't need her to complete content. When I hype up a character or I say a character is like a must pull, all I'm saying is that it's a character that's going to make your life a lot easier in difficult content, and they're going to be useful a lot in a ton of content. So that's all I'm saying. She's really good if you want to make the game easier for yourself. If you want more of a challenge or you don't like meta, then don't pull for her, right? So let's go ahead. We're going to start with her calls. We'll do our artifacts, we'll do her spheres, and then we'll do the showcase, and then just show how she works, right? So her calls are actually really good. I foresee myself using her call abilities a lot. The first thing is her normal call is just a big fat heal. And I find myself bringing Rem call a lot to fights, because the worst thing that can happen to you is at the end of a Shinryu, the boss like ticks you for damage right before you're about to kill him, and you're going to miss the HP requirement. So if I have room for it, I usually like bringing an HP call to a tough Shinryu fight, just so I know I've got an on-demand heal somewhere if I need it. So that's what her normal call is going to do. It's going to do a big fat heal, and it's also going to do a party attack up, Brave regen up, and then an HP regen effect. So that's very good as well, right? And then if we go to the LD call, this LD call is crazy because this is the whole thing that makes Lunafreya crazy, is that the calling member is going to get quick prayer and heavy prayer, which are very good buffs. And then the character to the, I don't remember like the order yet, but the character to the right gets quick prayer, the character to the left gets heavy prayer. Basically, quick prayer is free instant turns for the character, which is really nice. And then also heavy prayer is basically attack, brave damage up, and like true HP damage up. It's very good. It's very good for dealing damage. So the way to think about it is swiftness prayer is like, I want to take a bunch of free turns with the character. Heavy prayer is, I want to deal a lot of damage with the character. So the way you set up your team comp initially is going to make a difference, because Lunafreya will affect the character to either the left or right of her. So if you want a team with everybody's really fast, what you could do is, so the quick player comes characters to her right. So if you put Lunafreya in the far left slot, all the characters to the right will get free turns on the times that she applies that buff, right? If you want it the other way around, you want to do heavy damage characters, then put her on the far right, let the characters to the left get it. If you want to put her in the middle, then both, like, you could have a specific, like, DPS character, maybe get the heavy damage, and then maybe a fast, like, buffing character or something like that, do it the other way. It totally depends on what you want. Or a good example, a really good example of what you could do with this, put a really slow character like Oron, like a counter character, put them on the side with a heavy buff so they're dealing more damage on their counters, and then put the speed buff on your DPS character so that her and that character will take more turns, allowing like your slow character maybe to sit back and not get turns, right? Or if it's like, maybe Oron isn't the best example, maybe an off-turn character like Cissnei, right? Cissnei is a much better example. So let's say it's Cissnei, right? Just let Cissnei sit there with the heavy buff on, and then have your other two characters with the speed buff on, taking a lot of turns with Cissnei or like Kain or something like that, right? Or I think that's why they put Yang on this cycle. You can really abuse it with Yang. So it's very good, right? And this is just on the LD call. We'll talk about Lunafreya in the actual kit, though. Very, very good, very, very hyped there, right? So that's the call. Now, if we go look at Lunafreya, let's go ahead and let's start with the artifacts. Now, here's the thing. I have no artifacts. I literally just got her powered up, just did my summons. I'm kind of like, I know you guys want this guide, so I'm getting it done right away. I'm staying up later than I should. But I'll just tell you the artifacts. I will get these farmed once I actually get a chance to play the event. But basically what you want, so she does a lot of battery, right? And I wouldn't say damage dealing is her main thing, but she can actually deal pretty good damage, especially because she's going to get both of her prayer buffs, which is really, really good. So attack is decent because you're still going to do damage, but I would say Eye Brave is actually pretty darn important on her, because her battery scales very heavily off of Eye Brave, right? So when you're doing artifacts, you could go, so if you want her to be a little bit more offensively focused, give her attack 108 and then give her her C50, which is called Blood of the Oracle. Blood of the Oracle is going to do party attack and Eye Brave, okay? I think the best alternative is actually to do Eye Brave and Blood of the Oracle. And I think I might actually go that route. I think I'm going to do Eye Brave and Blood of the Oracle. I'll kind of see how I'm feeling about her damage, but I might go full battery route with her and do it that way. I would say attack her Eye Brave in the first slot and then do Blood of the Oracle for the C50 for the other slot, right? And then let's go and look at spheres. Now I did I went big time on the spheres. This is full invest Lunafreya. I got her totally maxed out, right? So what you're going to want on the A slot, what I like about her is she makes better use of some A slots that maybe normally aren't optimal, but I wanted to give her an attack I Brave one. So the best attack I Brave ones are Machina or Enna Crow. Enna Crow actually I would say is the best one. So here, if we go here, Machina says when you attack a broken target or inflict them with break, it raises their own I Brave and attack by 10% for 3 turns. Enna Crow's is essentially the same, but Enna Crow's triggers on weakness damage, so technically that's like they're equally good for like the stat boost, but Enna Crow is what I would prefer to put on Lunafreya because Lunafreya does weakness damage, and there's maybe another character out there that could actually really use the Machina sphere that doesn't have weakness damage, right? So if you could choose one or the other, I would give her Enna Crow. I did not have Enna Crow, but I had Machina, so that's why I put Machina on. To me, they're like equal in what they do, but it's just for efficiency. There are less characters that have weakness damage, so I'd give Enna Crow to her. To a lesser extent, you can use Lightning. Now, Lightning does do I Brave and attack, but it's only when you break. And so since Enna Crow isn't like a re-break character, like you'll still get it because she can like spam some turns, but like it's not going to be as consistent. So I wouldn't recommend Lightning unless that's like all you've got. Otherwise, there might be some pure like I Brave ones out there you could do. You could always go, you know, the sure and safe like attack max brave. Like any of those honestly are going to be fine. But I think the attack I Brave ones are definitely the way to go here. On the C slot, you want your typical, so like Maria or Lude or Alphanod. Those are the big ones because those are like the party attack ones, and she is a support character. I actually really like Maria because Lunafreya is a healing character, and not every character can do that. So whenever Lunafreya heals, party I Brave and attack. Perfect. It's what you want, right? And then on the D slot, basically you want to go with your normal party attack boosting ones. So this is Ash, Saz, Hope. Lunafreya herself actually counts, right? So there's some pretty decent ones here that you can use. You know, Hope is probably one of the better ones because Attack Max Brave is a nice combo. But obviously, if you're investing in Lunafreya, you're going to have her own, and her own is plenty good enough. It's when you're attacking weakness, party attack 5%. Perfect. I think Lunafreya is just a great character to just plug her own on. You're getting a nice party attack on that. So I would say I've got a pretty optimal setup here. That's pretty top tier spheres right there. All right, so let's go ahead. Probably what a lot of you want to see here is we're going to hop into a showcase. So what I'm going to do, once again, characters like Lunafreya in Pain, you're actually starting the strategy in the team building because once again, the positioning is going to decide what happens. So I'm going to put her in the middle. So then the character to the right will get one buff. The character to the left will get another buff. And we'll play with that. Now, this isn't like a typical team build. I'm just doing this as a showcase build. I've got Penelo to boost the force gauge and then Rem to just like be able to turn the turn back over to Lunafreya, right? So let's just go back in. Normally, you'd want to run like a DPS or something on here at least. We won't bring a friend unit. We're just going to hop in and see what this kind of full support build does. Really, I just want to show off Lunafreya's kit to you, right? And kind of explain what she does. She's amazing because she provides like a bajillion buffs and her LD buffs are insane. And she does pretty much everything that you want out of a support character, including force charging, right? So let's go ahead. We'll let Penelo do it. I actually probably didn't even need to bring Penelo to force charge because Lunafreya does it herself. But she doesn't have as many skill. Like, to me, Penelo is still like the queen force charger because she's got so many skill uses. She can literally force charge you like 2 to 3 times if you really need it, right? So we'll just do a couple there to get the gauge up a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and we'll just pop her LD, kind of get her going. Then Rem's going to get a turn right away. We'll just have Rem swap with Lunafreya, actually. Okay, and I want to make sure I've got this right. So the character to the right will get quick prayer. Character to the left will get heavy prayer. Obviously, my first time ever using Lunafreya, so the more you use her, you'll kind of remember like which character gets which buff. And there actually is a way to give both characters either buff, which we'll talk about as well. So what I'm going to do is let's just swap into Lunafreya. Okay. All right. So Lunafreya's got a few things going on. Now, she does a lot, but it doesn't mean she's a complex character. I actually think she's very easy to play. So what you're going to see, first let's just start by explaining what you're seeing on the screen. She's got a staff above her head with an overhead that is at 4 and it's maxed out. Basically, that staff just ticks up each time she takes a turn, and it will reset once you use it. Basically, what that staff does is it changes her brave and HP attack. So what it does is you get access to the quick prayer and access to the heavy prayer, right? So you see at the top, I have quick prayer and heavy prayer. Now, what I'm going to do first is I'm actually going to do the 15, which is energy heal. This basically is a big fat heal. And it is a free instant turn, which means it is a force charging move. You can see we got a very, very nice force charge on there, right? And the battery is on iBrave, so I really like iBrave on her. She does a lot there. She's giving herself a buff called Oracle. And Oracle is just an attack up for herself, and then a party attack, max brave, iBrave, and HP regen. Okay? And the HP regen scales on her iBrave. So you're going to hear a common theme here with iBrave, and why iBrave is really important on this character, which is why I think on the artifact, I am going to go iBrave and C50. And there's not many characters I would do that with, but I really love when I find unique characters where I can actually use different combos. It's not just attack max brave, attack C50, right? It's nice that we're getting characters with variety that operate a little bit different, so I like that. So that Oracle buff is already doing a lot just on that, right? And once again, we force charge. Now, before you use the LD, you want to make sure you use that heavy or that energy heal at least once, because it's going to restore skill uses of it, and you want to optimize how many skill uses you have, especially of a healing and force charging and battery move. It's a very valuable move, and she only has 6 skill uses, so the reason it's low is because you can refill it throughout the fight. So just keep that in mind. So let's go ahead. I won't actually do the heavy prayer and quick prayer here, but you could hit those as individual buttons. Well, I guess we should, right? So let's do the quick prayer. So what it is here is quick prayer normally. So what happens is I'll just spoil this for you, but when you use the LD, what it does is it gives herself quick and heavy prayer. So Lunafreya gets both, and then the character to the right automatically gets quick prayer. Character to the left automatically gets heavy prayer. Heavy prayer is 3 turns, quick prayer is 2 turns. Now, when you're actually hitting this button here, you can manually pick, if you're doing the transformed HP or brave attack, you can manually pick what character to give it to, right? So let's say I want to give it to Rem. So let's go ahead and pick Rem and give it to Rem. Okay, so notice, now look ahead. See how Rem's got 3 turns in a row? That's the Swift Prayer in action. So that means now it's telling you that she's got that many turns of free instant turns. So you just can give that to anybody for free, which is absolutely crazy, right? Let's go ahead and do another move here. So let's go ahead and do Frigid Fubuki here. So this is the 35. This is just a simple Brave game. Scales on iBrave. Okay, theme here, iBrave. Big AoE attack. Does Brave game between hits. The big thing here is that it does ice and water resist down. So it's imperiling to 2 elements. Now this attack itself is actually just an ice attack, but water's going to come into play later in a big way, and you'll find out why. But that's the 35. Now look at Rem. She's just got free instant turns, right? So she can spam whatever she wants to. Like, she could use the LD. Now, she won't get a free skill use on the LD, but she can do it as like a free instant turn, right? So what's really busted about this is, you guys probably know by now, one of the problems with some Force characters is that you want to do the Force and go into their BT, but their Force isn't an instant turn. So then what happens is they're interrupted, and like 2 other characters have to go, and you're wasting Force time turns. Well, if they have Quickness Prayer up, you can set up where I can do Force, then burst immediately, and I just do my max damage. So it really actually helps other Force characters get the best out of their weapons, which is really, really awesome, right? So that's like the big combo that you do with Swiftness Prayer. So now, since we've got more free turns, let's go ahead and do it. Now, Cure normally is a free turn anyways, but we'll just pop it. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead, and we are going to swap back. So let's swap turns back into Lunafreya. Get her back up, and then Rem's following, so I can just keep swapping back, right? Okay. So now, and you can see she got her own Swift Prayer, or she didn't get her own Swift Prayer. She's got this from, this is actually from Rem's LD. We didn't use the LD yet, so she didn't get that yet. Let's go ahead and do the AA. So the AA, weakness damage up all. So basically, it's just going to increase the weakness damage that you do. Do some nice party buffs. You know, typical AA things. You typically, with an AA, you just, if you have a chance, you want to put it on and just have, it's going to help the team, right? Let's go ahead and do the EX. We haven't done that yet. So this is Diamond Dust. So this should be Shiva, right? Or it's a combo. Okay, so it's the character she summoned. Yeah, that must be Shiva. Because that was from her 35 attack also. Okay, very cool. So Diamond Dust is a party battery, scales on Eyebrave, full HP attack. It is ice damage, obviously, right? Now, the party is going to get a buff called Promise with her familiar, and then this is also going to imperil the ice and water. So you got 2 ways to imperil the ice, the water here. Now, this buff that's going to go on the party attack up, party max brave up, party eye brave up, overflow for both, brave regen, and this ice enchants the party. So all the buffs, like I've only talked about 2 buffs, but each of those buffs are just packed with a ton of attack, a ton of brave damage, a ton of overflow, HP damage. Just in those 2 buffs, you're packing in so much, right? So that EX is a very good button to press when you can press it, right? So let's have Rem. Let's go ahead and swap back. We're going to swap back into Lunafreya, okay? Now what I'm going to do next is I think I am going to put her BT effect up. So let's go ahead and do the BT attack. I actually got to watch this. I've never seen this before. So let's check this sucker out. You can see I've got her Ultima weapon. Like, she's completely stacked here, right? Nice. Okay, very nice attack. All right, so let's talk about what she's getting out of this BT, right? So with the BT, it's a big giant attack like you saw there, right? But the burst effect is actually pretty cool. It's not mandatory, but it does make her a lot better, right? So it's like brave damage up, HP damage up, overflow up, like all the typical like BT effect stuff. But the big thing that you don't want to underlook is all of her buffs get applied 1 extra turn. Well, guess what? That's going to apply to quick prayer and heavy prayer. So it's going to make those a lot better. So having the BT is actually quite useful for Lunafreya. Like I said, the importance of her weapons, LD is number 1 for like the high tier weapons. LD is number 1, BT's number 2, and I'd say FR is number 3. You don't have to have the FR because you don't have to use her FR phase. You can use someone else's, and she's still ridiculous, right? Okay, let's go ahead and actually let's spam a few. I want to actually get the force gauge up because I do want to use her force pretty soon here. So let's just spam a few. I could intercession, but that just takes too long. Let's just spam out and get us the force. That way I'm just free to pop it when I want to do it, right? And what we might do is we might actually do her LD into the force, because I think that's all I need to show. I've shown the 15, 35, I've done the EX. I haven't done the LD yet, and I've done the BT. So yeah, it's really just the force and the LD I got to show off. So this might be a good combo, okay? And then we can kind of demonstrate how to do it like with Lunafreya, but you would normally maybe use this with a different character's force, right? Okay, so I think we're ready to go. So let's go ahead and just attack through. All right. Notice how, like, this is why, like, I say she's going to be better in Garnet. Now, just, you see our Brave is just constantly capped. Like, she's making the party strong. Like, it's crazy. All right, let's go back into Lunafreya. All right, so now stuff's going to get real. All right, so let's go ahead and pop the LD. This LD is just jam-packed, right? So this LD here is called Awakening. Let's go ahead and pop that off. Okay. So on the LD, we are getting a free instant turn with this, okay? It is doing Party Battery, scaled on what? Eyebrave, right? Split HP attack, all that fun stuff. But she gets a free turn. It extends all of her buffs by 1 turn. So any buffs already out there extended, right? She gets a free ability use for herself and any allies to her right. And it restores 1 use of her skill 1 and her skill 2. Now what happens is the characters to the right, so in this case Penelo's got Quickness Prayer. See on the turn order there how Penelo's got 4 attacks in a row? It's because she's got Quickness Prayer, so now she's just going to take a bunch of turns, right? Lunafreya herself actually gets her own Quick Prayer and Heavy Prayer buffs, and then the party member to the left, which is Rem, now has Heavy Prayer on. So Rem is going to be dealing a lot more HP damage. It's going to make her attacks just hit harder, right? So that's basically how that works. So let's go ahead now and let's hop into Force time. So the Force effect is going to do a big attack with Rydia, which is totally dope. I'm a big Rydia fan. I can't wait for Rydia to get an FR, actually. Very much looking forward to that, which she does have it on JP, I'm pretty sure. Waiting for that on Global, right? All right, so now what we're going to do here is we are just going to swap back into Lunafreya, because I don't want Penelo taking 500 turns here. Let's get Lunafreya back up. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do her burst phase, and we'll just kind of show off in here. Now, here's what the Force does, okay? So it did the big attack that we saw, But during force time, the party has true water enchant. Okay? And this is the only time that she actually does the water enchant. Now, what true water enchant is, normally you can't enchant an element over another, but in this case you can. So if a character is naturally fire element, they're going to get water like put over it. So what's happening is Lunafreya, most of her attacks inherently deal ice, and she's enchanting the party to ice. So basically think of it, our party are all ice characters. What happens now is the water is true enchanting over the party, so now we're essentially doing water and ice damage at the same time. Well, her HP damage conditions are 20% for dealing ice damage, 20% for dealing water damage, and then if you apply a buff to allies on turn, you get 20%, right? So we can try it out a little bit, right? So let's go ahead and do something. So let's say we hit Diamond Dust, the EX, right? This should, in theory, do ice and water damage and apply a buff to the party. Let's try it. And see what kind of damage we get here. Okay, 43%. So it might not have been both elements. This is me just going in the first time, but we got 40%. So that should have been for maybe the buff and then for one element. But I'm pretty sure you can get both elements at the same time and get 60%. We'll keep attacking and try it out, right? So let's go ahead and let's do her, we'll just try her free instant turn here, because here's the thing. This is a force charging move. Let's just see what this does for our force gauge. We'll just experiment together here. Okay, 53%. So that's kind of the standard, just 50% for doing an instant turn. Let's go ahead and try to the 35. Now this 35 doesn't do any party buffing. Oh, you know what? Yeah, okay. Shoot, I missed the percentage there. That's okay. I was looking at something else. Let's do the FR. Okay, 43% again. So the standard we're getting is 43. I'm pretty sure there's a way to get 60%, but this is me literally like just getting her tonight, trying her out for the first time. For the most part, you guys get the idea of the kit. That's my goal, is that you guys just really understand how she works. And the force gauge doing pretty decent here. So let's go ahead and do Awakening. Got to pop that LD. Okay, we'll see how much the force gauge goes up here. Okay, so we did get 63% there on that one. So something about that triggered both of the elements. Oh, you know what it is? Oh, I know exactly what it is. All right, guys, I got this. So what it is you get both elements if you are a non-elemental attack or a non-elemental character, right? So that's how you get the 60%. It has to be a non-elemental character that's getting enchanted for ice, and they're getting the true enchant for water. The reason why Lunafreya's other attack didn't work is because they're naturally already doing ice attacks. So they're only getting the one element. So I do remember hearing that. So like, let's say you did this with Terra, right? If you did Terra and did like Terra's Burst, if you did one of Terra's attacks that applied a buff and was just normally neutral damage, if she was enchanted from Lunafreya's ice, and then was during the FR, she should get the true water enchant on top of it. So I believe somebody like Terra or a non-elemental character would work. But now that I think of it, I do specifically remember somebody saying it's got to be a non-elemental character to get the full 60%. So if that's what you want to do, bring a non-elemental, like big DPS on our team, and then just make sure you're water and ice enchanting them. And then if they're doing attacks that apply buffs, then you're going to get 60 whatever % per turn, right? So let's go ahead and just finish the turn out. Let's do this Frigid Fubuki. So this should be, this should be 43%, or 40 whatever %. Yep, 48. So that's basically it. So it's not a bad force. Like, you can get a lot of damage out of it if you set it up right. But the big thing is that heavy prayer and that swift prayer. Now, we didn't really show off the heavy prayer much. Like, Lunafreya's been using it because she's been giving it to herself. But we didn't really like attack with Rem. But just try Lunafreya out with like your best DPS and then like maybe another support or utility character. I guarantee you're going to be seeing more impressive numbers out of that character. They're going to be very similar, if not better, than like Garnet numbers, right? If you want to go crazy, I mean, you could do Lunafreya Garnet and a DPS and see, like, do that with your Machina and just see how crazy he is. It's going to be really nice. So anyways, guys, there you go. That's Lunafreya. She does a lot, but like I said, she's really not that complicated. So I'll kind of refrain, or I'll rephrase a few things just really quick so that you guys kind of get the gist of it. So just remember that her energy heal That's her free instant turn for charging. I would get one of those out of the way fairly early. The other thing I would do is I would use maybe a quick prayer or a heavy prayer early, because then it's going to get her staff stacks down to 0. And then as she takes turns, she's going to build up to 4 again. And then you can keep applying those buffs to either side, right? I do kind of like the idea of putting her in the middle, unless you're running a very specific team comp where like you really want a lot of swift prayer or you really want a lot of heavy prayer. Then you can kind of do it on that. But I do recommend, if you're running an off turn like Sisney or Yang or something like that, I would focus on just always give them heavy prayer and then give swift prayer to the other character. I think that combo is going to work out real nice. So anyways, guys, there you go. Thanks for watching. Hope this guide helps. We'll catch you all on the next one.